All right, good afternoon. I'm Richard Beal, B-I-E-H-L, Director and Chief Police, City of Dayton. And I'm here to provide you an update on an encounter with an armed suspect that occurred in the City of Dayton yesterday, which involves shots fired by a Dayton police officer. So what you did not know yesterday, and what I will tell you today, is that this was a much more serious case than we communicated yesterday, because we're in the midst of critical stage of this investigation, and we had to be very careful about what information was out publicly. This began, actually, is in a missing case investigation. On March the 26th, about 11 p.m., Nichelle McKnight left her residence at 609 Homewood Avenue and never returned. Dayton crews were dispatched to that location literally, I should say, actually this is the 25th. I might add that the mother who reported this was actually an error about the date, so it actually is a day earlier, the 25th. She thought it was the 26th, it was actually the she thought it was the 26th, it was actually the 25th. So on the 29th, so 4 days later, Dayton crews were dispatched to 609 Homewood Avenue for a missing report by Laverne Williams. She is the mother of Nichelle McKnight, and also was reporting her 4-year-old grandson missing too. This report was assigned to Detective Justin Hayes on the 31st, and rather quickly we exhausted all possible information to determine her whereabouts. On April the 2nd, around a little bit around 8:30, going on 9 o'clock at night, we received a Crime Stoppers tip regarding the missing female and her child. That information was disseminated to the Homicide Squad and Special Victims Unit, and at that point it was decided to reassign this case to Detective Rod Roberts in the Homicide Felonious Assault Squad. Yesterday, detectives from SOFAST, I mentioned that yesterday, the Southern Ohio Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team began surveillance at 3:15 p.m. at 23 Birchwood Avenue. That was the residence of a person of interest in this missing case. At 17:51, so a little bit before 6 p.m., a black male left that residence in a gold Chev Impala. SOFAST detectives called for a uniformed Dayton crew to make a stop of that vehicle. A little bit before 6 p.m., crew 532A initiated a traffic stop at North Main Street in Burton, and the suspect fled in that vehicle. The vehicle eventually stopped at Viola and Muma, where the suspect bailed out of that vehicle as it was in motion, and we'll show you that video here very shortly. And he fled into a wooded area, and that is where the fatal encounter occurred. So now we'll give you, this is actually just actually a map of the area, the beginning of the point of contact with that vehicle, and then the effort to stop it and where it eventually ended after the suspect fled. There are 6 dispatch recordings that are a part of this. We're a total of 20, so you're only getting 6 of the 20. But it shows the, if you will, the story kind of from beginning to end of what happened. So we'll play that audio for you and let you listen to that.
933. 933, we're in the area of Fairview. We're dealing with a traffic stop. Fortunately, vehicle trying to get back the other way. Clear, including the area. Fairview and Birchwood that can make the stop. 532, you're clear. 532 is that gold call. Take call from me. Gold on I-33 on out. Move on. Move on, Iowa. Clear on move on by Iowa. Any crews I can get within there. Okay. 533B, can you get within there? Yeah, I'm going to help right now.
Clear.
Zero behind 50 West Blue Mall. He went up the tree line. He bailed out. Black male, like 2 or 3 inch braids. It was like a red or white stripe cap.
Cutting the flares, downhill waving.
South up the hill through the tree line to the hill here. Check the trees here.
I know, only. So yeah, we have K-line real quick. Out that way, 339K.
Clear 39K, can you start with them towards 51 West North? Clear, thank you.
That's the last place we had it. Well, turn off the wall. He was running. It was 50. Little house, that's all in the backyard. Tree line there, tree line there. Probably around the hill.
That's all, whatever, it's what's all.
Down the hill, down the hill. Back up the hill towards you, back up the hill towards you. I know, you're that's right.
That's we can medic.
Clear. Taking all crews 99 on West for shots fired. Clear.
Just coming up to the halfway there and then the wood right there. So the crews here.
So next you'll see the actual in-car video from one of the officers who attempted to make a stop, and then another officer whose audio captures the incident of the actual shooting, as well as the command for the officer or for the individual, the suspect, to show his hands. So the first video you will see will be the officers, I should say, that attempted to make the stop. So we'll go ahead and show that video. You can focus your cameras on whatever screen you're going to watch there. I might add that there's no audio on this for the first minute because the in-car cameras pre-records. They're continuously recording. Once the officer activates the lights, the audio comes on, but it captured the prior 60 seconds to that, which there is no audio. That's why there's not any audio for about a minute here.
That's the suspect vehicle, or no? We're not
One he's
there.
right behind now.
Okay.
Cars now fleeing. Doors open to suspect's bailing right there. So that was a very brief attempt to stop the suspect, and you can see that vehicle fled, and really within a block or so he bails out and begins to run. So foot chase is on at that point. The next video you will see is stationary, car stationary. Is Officer Holloway, who's one of the responding officers. What's important is not the video, it's the audio that you will hear, which the officers come in to show your hands. You also will hear shots being fired on this audio. So now we will play that for you. Okay, as you can tell, the audio is a little challenging there. The officers are in the woods at that point in time, so they're very active trying to catch up with this individual, so it's a little bit difficult to hear what's going on here. The next slide is really just an aerial view of the scene, so it gives you a little idea of context. It shows you where this vehicle pursuit ended, where the suspect bails and begins running on foot, and the approximate area where the fatal incident occurs. Next slide is going to be a couple of images from the crime scene. One is going to be a view from the bottom of the hill looking up, and another one is a view just from the top of the hill. These are just samples of some of the crime scene photos. There's literally over 100 of these photos. The next is a picture of the suspect's gun. This is pretty important for a number of reasons. One, the suspect was armed, but this gun was eventually struck in the fire, with the fire that was discharged by the Dayton officer, ultimately rendering that gun inoperable after it was struck. Now you see a little bit difference in the coloration of the gun. This is the same gun. It has to do with the photography taken at the scene and perhaps the time difference in lighting. This is the same weapon though. The next slide that you'll see is actually from the crime lab, and you get a little bit cleaner view of it, if you will. There is a live round in the chamber. There is a empty shell casing at the top of what appears to be the magazine well. So that's the gun that was recovered at the scene. These are pictures. The next is a picture of the flags denoting the shell casings discharged by the Dayton police officer, and then just one photo showing a close-up of that shell casing, or one of the shell casings, I should say. The suspect in this that we were attempting to stop, the driver of this vehicle, he was wanted for a warrant for a traffic violation. As I mentioned, we were actually investigating him for something far more serious, I'll get to in a moment. He was a suspect in a felony theft case, certainly at that time. A little bit of his criminal record: he has 6 arrests by Dayton Police Department. He has a conviction for felonious assault in 2011 and a robbery conviction in 2006. So he is a convicted violent offender. His name is Antoine Anderson, and he is 26 years of age at the time of death. Another person of interest and suspect in this case is Tanisha Harris. She is currently being held on forgery charge. She was complicit to a felony theft. She has 5 arrests by us, including a misdemeanor theft conviction in 2013 and felony forgery conviction in 2010. The officers involved in this were Officer Lucas Rose. He is a 1-year veteran. Actually, he's coming up on his 1-year anniversary after graduating from the academy. He was the officer that discharged his firearm. The second officer, Officer Kyle Thomas, he's a 5-year veteran. He is assigned to Central Patrol Operation, and he is also a member of the SWAT team. So, what you don't know up to this point is cause of death. The coroner's investigation confirmed today the suspect died of one self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He was not struck by the rounds fired by the Dayton Police Department. The only thing that was struck, other than the debris in the area, would be the handgun that the suspect had in his possession. The Homicide Felonious Assault Unit will be conducting the officer-involved shooting investigation, and Professional Standards will be conducting administrative investigation to assess compliance with policy, procedure, and training. That is typical in any case. We are asking for the help of the public in locating these 2 individuals. I can tell you at this time we have reason to believe they are no longer alive, but we do not know where their bodies are located. So we had an individual who called Crime Stoppers who had some information about this. We're asking that individual to call and provide more detailed information, or any member of the public has any information at all, even if they called in previously, to call 222-STOP, that is the Crime Stoppers number, and to assist us in locating these individuals and help us solve this case. With that, I'll